Hi you guys, this is the answer key for the adding and subtracting decimals quiz. What I would like you to do with this is I want you to watch this video and fix any of the ones that you missed on your quiz. And then at the end of this, I'm going to give you a few problems to try and to practice on your own with some feedback, and then I will have you retest on this topic. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. Number one said 6.425 plus a negative 11.321. Now remember, adding and subtracting positive and negative decimals, it's not any different than adding and subtracting positive and negative integers. Okay, so when we look at these two, we want to first decide if when we combine them we're going to have or if we're going to owe. So this would be our having amount, and this would be our owing amount. And since our owing amount is more than our having amount, when we combine those, we know we are still going to owe. Okay? And then to figure out how much we owe, we take the 11.321, because it's our bigger number, and we are going to subtract our 6.425. Now, when you subtract decimals, you have to line up the decimals. Okay, so notice here, I've lined up the decimals. I'm going to fix that. That should be a 4. Okay, now when you subtract, you can't take 5 from 1. So you're going to have to borrow from the 2, make it a 1. This becomes an 11, so this becomes a 6. You also cannot take 2 from 1, so you're going to have to borrow from the 3, make it a 2, make this an 11, so this becomes 11 minus 2, which is 9. You can't take 4 from 2. You're going to have to borrow from the 1, make this a 0. This becomes a 12, so this is an 8. And then you can't take 6 from 0, but if you borrow from this, make this a 0. This becomes a 10. 10 minus 6 is 4. And then our decimal comes straight down, 4.896. Negative 4.896. Okay, on the next one, we owe and we owe. Okay, so whenever we're adding two negative numbers together, our answer is always going to be negative, because if you owe and then you owe more, you're obviously going to owe. To figure out how much, we're going to add those two together. So we have our 15.3, we have our 16.245. Notice how I line up the decimals here. Okay, I'm going to put zeros in as place fillers here. And then when we add these two together, we just add the columns. 5 plus 0 is 5. 4 plus 0 is 4. 2 plus 3 is 5. The decimal comes straight down. 6 plus 5 is 11. Put down your 1. Carry your 1. 1 plus 1 plus 1 gives us 31.545. Okay? And that 4, I'm going to rewrite that. I don't know why my 4s always turn into 9s. Okay, there we go. The next one, number 3, negative 17.4 plus 9. Okay, so on this one, our owing amount is bigger than our having amount, which means that when we combine these, we're going to end up owing. Okay, and then to figure out how much, we have to take the 17.4 and we are going to subtract, again, this is a 4. Not a 9. Okay, 17.4. We're going to subtract the 9. Now, to write 9 as a decimal, it would be 9.0. So when we line this up, we line it up like this. Okay? 4 minus 0 is 4. We can't make 9 from 7, so we have to borrow from the 1, make it a 0. This becomes 17 minus 9, which is 8.4. And then our answer is a negative 8.4. Okay. The next one is a subtraction. Remember, we never, ever, ever change addition. So all of these were addition, right? We didn't change anything about those problems. The next 3 are subtraction. So when we do subtraction, we have to keep, change, change. So we're going to keep, change, change. Okay? So this becomes a negative 3.2 plus a negative 17.9. So we owe and we owe. So when we combine those, we know that we are going to owe. Our answer is going to be negative. To figure out what our answer is, we take the 17.9, we add it to the 3.2, and we get negative 21 0.1. Remember, the decimal just comes straight down in our answer. Okay, number 5, 13.36, subtract a negative 4.24. So remember, we always change subtraction to addition. We never change addition, but we always change subtraction to addition. So we're going to keep, change, change. Now these are both positive. We have a 13.36, we have a positive 4.24, and when you add a positive with another positive, your answer is going to be positive. 6 plus 4 is 10. 1 plus 3 plus 2, that gives us 6. 3 plus 4 is 7, so 17.60 positive. Okay, the last one is a subtraction problem. So we are going to keep, change, change. Now, if you owe and you have, okay, our having amount is bigger. So in the end, our answer is going to end up being positive, and to figure out how much we have left and we combine those, we're going to use subtraction to figure out the difference. So 8.45, and then we're going to line up the decimals, 7.525. We would add a 0 here, and now we subtract. We can't take 5 from 0, so we're going to have to borrow from this 5, make it a 4. 10 minus 5 is 5, 4 minus 2 is 2. We can't take 5 from 4, we're going to have to borrow from the 8, make it a 7. 14 minus 5 is 9, and then our decimal comes straight down. So 0.925. Okay. Okay, now at this point, what I want you to do is you are going to do these 6 new problems, these new practice problems. So if you have room on the back of your quiz, you can do it on the back of your quiz. If you don't have room on the back of your quiz, take out a piece of paper and do these problems on your own piece of paper. Okay, so you're going to do the problems first. So you're going to push pause, you're going to complete the problems. Then you're going to push play, and you are going to correct them. And then if you're still having problems after this, I want you to come back to the back table, and I'm going to help you with this. If you feel like you have this skill down after this, then I want you to start on your adding and subtracting fractions quiz. And at the bottom of that, there is a retest. Okay, so your quiz, your adding and subtracting fractions quiz looks like this. Okay, and then you guys can see that at the bottom, oh, sorry, let me back that up a little bit. At the bottom of that is your adding and subtracting decimals retest. Okay, but before you do the retest, I want you to make sure that you have practiced each of these, that you know how to add and subtract positive, negative decimals, and go ahead and move forward. So you're going to push pause, you're going to practice these 6 problems, you're going to push play, you're going to correct them, and then you'll be ready to start your adding and subtracting fractions quiz. Okay, so let's go ahead and go through these together. Number 1, you have 4.324 plus a negative 7.425. And so on this one, I'm going to go ahead and clear off some space here. So you have a negative 4.324, and you have a positive or plus a negative 7.425. And again, this turned into a 9 instead of a 4, so let me fix that. Okay. Now this is owing. Okay, I wrote this down wrong. This is not owing. Okay, this was having 4.324 and owing negative 7.425. So in this one, when you combine these, you're going to end up owing because your owing amount is more than your having amount. And to figure out how much, you take these two numbers and you subtract them. 5 minus 4 is 1, 2 minus 2 is 0, 4 minus 3 is 1, and 7 minus 4 is 3. So negative 3.101 for the first one. Let's go ahead and look at the next one. Okay, on the next one, you owe and you owe, right? Both of these are negative numbers. So when you combine those, you're going to end up owing. And then to figure out how much, we need to add these two together. So we do 14.3 We do 15.346. We line up our decimals. Four, 6. I'm going to put zeros in here, and then we just add. 0 plus 6 is 6, 0 plus 4 is 4, 3 plus 3 is 6. Bring our decimal straight down. 4 plus 5 is 9, 1 plus 1 is 2. So negative 29.646. Okay, let's go ahead and look at the next one. Okay, the next one is negative 16.2 plus 7. For this one, this is your owing amount. This is your having amount. The owing amount is bigger, so our answer is going to end up being negative. To figure out how much we still owe, we need to use subtraction. To make the 7 into a decimal, it becomes 7.0. So remember, when you add or subtract decimals, you have to line up the decimals. Now we're just going to subtract. 2 minus 0 is 2. You can't take 7 from 6, so you got to borrow from the 1, make it a 0. So this really just becomes 16 minus 7, which is 9. So negative 9.2. Okay, the next one is a subtraction problem. So remember, we always change our subtraction problems to addition. So this negative 2.2 minus 16.8 becomes negative 2.2 plus a negative 16.8. And now if you owe and you owe, you're going to end up owing. Anytime you add two negative numbers together, your answer will always be negative. And then to figure out how much, you just line the two decimals up, you add these two numbers together, and you get 19. Negative 19.0. And if you want to write it as negative 19 or negative 19.0, those are the same. Okay, the next one is another subtraction problem. So remember, we always change our subtraction by doing keep, change, change. Keep, change, change. Now these are both just positive numbers. So 12.26 plus 3.24. Now we just line up the decimals and add them. 6 plus 4 is 10. This would be 5. Decimal comes straight down. 2 plus 3 is 5. We get 15.50. Okay, and the last one is a subtraction. So we're going to keep, change, change. Okay, so now this is our owing amount. This is our having amount. Our having amount is bigger. So when we combine these two, we're going to end up having a positive answer. And then to figure out what our answer is, we're going to use subtraction. We're going to take the 7, which we write as 7.0, and we are going to subtract the 6.421. Okay, I'm going to add zeros here as placeholders, and now I can't take 1 from 0. So I go to borrow, but I can't. So I go to borrow, but I can't. So I'm going to borrow from the 7, make it a 6. This becomes a 10. This becomes a 9, so that this can become a 10. This becomes a 9, so that this can become a 10. 10 minus 1 is 9. 9 minus 2 is 7. 9 minus 4 is 5. And then the decimal comes straight down. So positive 0.579. Okay, now if you got all of those correct, you are ready to move on to your add and subtracting fractions quiz and your adding and subtracting decimals retest. If you still missed some of these, please bring this back to me so that I can help you with some more practice problems before you do your retest.